In America, they tell you that your home is your castle. They don't tell you how easily the drawbridge can be sold from under you. I remember the exact temperature of the brass key the day I lost it. It was 42 degrees in New Jersey. A biting, wet October wind. I stood on the porch of the house my father had spent 30 years paying for. A house that smelled like his pipe tobacco and the peppermint tea he'd make me when I had a fever. My cousin Marcus stood there, leaning against his red Mercedes. He didn't look like a thief. He looked like a savior. "Maya, honey," he said, and his voice was like silk. "The bank is aggressive. Probate is a nightmare. Just sign the management deed. I'll handle the taxes. You just focus on your midterms. Daddy would want you to graduate." I was 19. I was drowning in grief. I signed. I didn't know I was signing my own eviction notice. 3 months later, I came home to a yellow slip of paper taped over the peephole. Notice to vacate. Property sold at auction. I ran to the ATM at the 7-Eleven. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped my card twice. I punched in my code. I prayed. "Please, just let there be enough for a motel. Just a week. Current balance, $2.14. The air left my lungs. That was my tuition. That was my grocery money. That was my father's life, reduced to the price of a cheap soda. Marcus hadn't just stolen a house. He had harvested my father's soul and spent it on bottle service and Italian leather loafers. That night, I didn't have a bed. I had a black duffel bag and a navy blue pea coat. I sat on the curb and watched a locksmith, a man who wouldn't look me in the eye, change the bolts on the only door I had ever known. Have you ever had the person you trusted most look you in the eye and lie while they were robbing you blind? Homelessness isn't always a tent on a sidewalk. Sometimes, it's a 19-year-old girl in a university library, washing her hair in a sink at 4 a.m. with peppermint hand soap because it reminds her of her dad. I lived in a single olive green cashmere sweater. It was high quality, a gift from a better time, but the elbows were wearing thin, just like my patience. I spent my days in the basement archives. I wasn't studying for class anymore. I was studying Marcus. I found the business fees he'd charged to my name. I found the forged signatures on the deed transfer. Every time I felt like giving up, every time the floor of the library felt too hard, I would reach up and touch the golden necklace around my neck. It was a bar of gold, small and delicate. My dad gave it to me for my 16th birthday. "Maya," he told me, "this is to remind you that your name is the only thing they can't take. Keep it clean." I decided then. I wasn't going to get even. I was going to become the storm that leveled his playground. I worked 3 jobs. I lived on shift meal steaks and tap water. I used the Debt Snowball Method like a military strategy. Every dollar I saved was a bullet. Every credit point I clawed back was a foot of ground reclaimed. 5 years later, Marcus was a local success. He owned a logistics firm. He had a glass house. He thought I was a sad story from his past. He invited me to his housewarming. He thought he was being charitable. I walked in wearing a sapphire navy suit that fit like armor. I looked at the marble floors bought with my father's sweat. Marcus walked over, clinking his ice cubes. "Maya, look at you. You look stable. I'm glad you got over that rough patch we had." I didn't scream. I didn't throw my drink. I just smiled, a small, steely smile. "I'm not just stable, Marcus. I'm your landlord." The ice stopped clinking. "I didn't just track your fraud. I tracked your debt. Your logistics company has been over-leveraged for years. I've been quietly buying up your delinquent commercial notes. I own the debt on this house. And as of 9 a.m. this morning, I've filed for a recursive audit of Logistics with the IRS." The look on his face wasn't just fear. It was the look of a man who realized he had stolen from a cub and woken up facing a lioness. I watched him get led out in handcuffs, his flashy watch catching the light of the police cruisers. He looked small. He looked like $2.14. I walked back into my father's house, not the glass one, but the real one, which I bought back at a discount after Marcus let it fall into disrepair. I sat on the floor of the living room. It still smelled like peppermint. I touched them on my neck. I was 19 when they told me I had nothing. They were wrong. I had my name. And in the United States, if you have your name and a plan, you can own the world. Betrayal is a debt that always comes due. If you're tired of being the one left on the curb, it's time to learn the language of the winners. Subscribe to RevengeEcho. We don't just tell stories. We build empires. Hit that notification bell. Don't get mad. Get everything.
Thanking you for watching RevengeEcho channel. Like, subscribe and comment where you are watching from.